Hey, what is up guys? My name is Oleg, this is Bond. Welcome back to the channel. Let's review a G-Shock. I bought this G-Shock about 3 or 4 months ago because I was preparing to run my first marathon. I did an unboxing video of it. That video can be found on the channel. I will also link it in the description below. At the end of this video, I will talk more about my marathon running experience because I know some of you guys are interested in that. I got a few comments on previous videos, a few questions, so hopefully I'll be able to answer them. But for now, let's talk about the G-Shock. In this video, I'm not going to focus too much on the different functions of the watch because there are better videos on YouTube explaining and talking about the different functions that this watch offers. I will talk more about it as a tool for a specific job. In my case, it was running, and how the watch performed as that tool, because the way I see it in my head, it's almost not a wristwatch, it's more like a tool for a specific job. So I already had a Fitbit that I was training with, and it's a great training tool. It keeps track of your heart rate, it keeps track of your distance traveled. So why did I also need a G-Shock? Well, because my hand felt kind of empty. I always wear a watch, and running without a watch felt almost wrong. I experimented with a few different watches. I wore some diver watches. The best one actually before the G-Shock was Vostok Komandirski. It was alright, but I found the G-Shock was better for that specific job. So it was just really comfortable on the wrist, and instantly when I put it on, it felt right, and running with it was very easy. A few things that contributed to that comfort of the watch. Number one, the super lightweight. This watch is of course made out of plastic and rubber, so it's very lightweight, and when you're running with it, you don't really feel it at all on your wrist. And number two, the fact that the watch is actually fairly small. In my head, before I bought this G-Shock, I always had a perception of G-Shocks as these giant monster watches that take over your wrist. That's simply not true. There are some bigger watches, but there are also these square-faced G-Shocks that are pretty comfortable and fairly compact on your wrist. So it has a 43mm diameter, and it's only 12mm thick. So the fit on the wrist is actually really nice. I have a 7¼ wrist, and on my wrist it looked good and it felt good. The quality of the plastic and the quality of the rubber are not the best. It doesn't feel very luxurious, but the overall build quality is fairly solid. It does feel like a pretty indestructible tool in your tool bag. Some people were freezing these watches. They were dropped for incredible heights. You can go 200 meters underwater with this watch, and really when you have one in your hands, you feel that. You feel like this watch is fairly indestructible. So that was a good confidence boost while training. I never really had to worry about this watch. I could bang it around and know that nothing really is going to happen to it. So the model that I bought, the one that I'm reviewing today, I bought it from Amazon for around $90, 90 US dollars. The reference for it is GWM5610. There's also a cheaper version of this watch, DW5600E, and I would actually recommend that watch over this one. This more expensive version has two functions over the cheaper version. Number one, it has a radio controlled signal, so the watch would synchronize with the radio signal and you will always have accurate time. And number two, it has a solar powered battery, so you will never have low battery as long as the watch is getting some sunlight. So why am I recommending the cheaper version over this? Well, because you really don't need those two functions. Replacing battery in this watch is fairly easy. The case back is screwed in place with 4 different screws, so changing the battery would be no problem. Changing the battery every 3 or 4 years is not a big deal, will cost you $5. Easy to do, you can do it yourself. The radio control signal portion, I didn't get it to work on my watch, maybe because I live in downtown Vancouver. There are too many towers around me and the signal was blocked. I left it out on the window ledge a few nights over the last 3 or 4 months and nothing happened. It didn't sync with the radio signal. Some people in the comment section below did mention that there is an app called Clockwave that you can download to your phone. It's a paid app. I think it costs $5 or so, and then it will send the radio signal to your watch and synchronize it automatically. I didn't go that step because I felt like the watch is already accurate enough. I really didn't need that level of accuracy. So for those reasons, I would recommend you save yourself $50 or $40 and go for the cheaper version. Some of the other functions that I really enjoyed on this watch, it has multiple time zones, which I did use. Of course, it has a full calendar, day, date, and month. I really enjoyed the stopwatch functionality. Whenever I do cardio, that function came in very handy. The timer function came in handy. It has multiple alarms. I didn't really use the alarm function on this watch. I just generally use my phone for that, but nevertheless, that function is available. If you go camping or something like that, that would come in handy. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with this G-Shock. I don't see it leaving my collection anytime soon. But as I mentioned before, I don't really see it as a watch. I see it more as a training tool almost. I want to keep this watch more in my gym bag than in a watch box. That's the best way I can describe how I feel about the watch. Now, it's not perfect. It does have some negatives. By far the biggest one for me, at least, is the comfort of this rubber strap. It's not very comfortable. It's very tough. Maybe with time it will wear in more. It's all right, but could be improved definitely, and it doesn't feel very luxurious or very nice on your wrist. It could definitely be softer. One interesting thing that I noticed about this rubber strap is the fact that it has holes for the tank buckle on both sides of the strap. So it makes the strap a little bit more breathable. Another small complaint that I have about the watch is that these buttons are a little tough to push. They could also be looked at as a positive, so you won't accidentally trigger anything or stop your timer or something like that. But nevertheless, that was my experience. Maybe make them a little bit larger, give them a little bit more surface area. And the last complaint that some of you guys had in the unboxing video that I don't really agree with, but I still want to mention, is the fact that a lot of you said that these watches are overpriced because they're essentially electronic plastic watches, and they're costing over $50, where you can buy something from China for around $10 that does essentially the same job. And I can't really disagree with that portion of the equation, because yes, you can buy a much cheaper watch that will pretty much do the same function and would be, roughly speaking, just as robust and just as reliable as a G-Shock. But I think where the value of G-Shock really comes in, it's the horological status and the horological icon that G-Shock has become. This watch is legendary. It sold over 100 million copies. It's been featured in countless number of magazines, countless number of movies. So many famous people wear G-Shocks on their wrists. So I think that's the value of the company, and that's the value of G-Shock also, that cannot be discounted. You get an iconic watch for around $50 or $90, depending for which version you go for. In my opinion, that's not a bad deal at all. Now let's talk about my experience of running my first marathon. I did it. I completed it. I did the full 42.2 kilometers, or just over 26 miles. It's done. It's in the books. So I did the Vancouver Marathon, and to give you an idea of how bad of a runner I am, about 7 or 8 months ago, I couldn't run more than 3 minutes on a treadmill. I would give up. I hated myself. It was just a torture for me. And that's exactly why I embarked on this journey. That's why I started running. That's why I signed up for this marathon, because I hated doing it. And life is all about taking something that you hate doing, that you suck at, and really pushing yourself, really training hard, small increments every day, small improvements every day, until you got good at it, until you get to the level of finishing a marathon. So my goal was to run the marathon under 4.5 hours. That didn't happen. I actually ran it just over 5 hours. I think my time was 5 hours and 8 minutes. It's different time with the chip and the gun. So the gun was 5 hours and 8 minutes and the chip was 5 hours and 7 minutes. Either way, it wasn't a great time. I'm still proud of it. I completed the marathon. It was a tough experience. My first half was really good. I did the first half of the marathon in 2 hours and 21 minutes. Was very happy with that time. I thought I would finish it around the 4.5 hour mark, but as time went on, the course got tougher, and I had to slow down, and eventually I really slowed down to a point where I finished at 5 hour mark. It was also a very humbling experience, because I've seen so many senior citizens pass me by, so many people that I didn't know passing me by, and I just had to swallow my pride, bury that ego, and keep going at my own pace and not worry about other people. One of the best feelings from the experience was crossing the finish line. My girlfriend and my family came out to support me, so it was great crossing the finish line and seeing their faces and then giving them a big hug. That was pretty cool. I also sprinted the last kilometer because I had a little bit more energy in the tank and I wanted to leave it all on the line, so to speak. I wanted to finish with the tank empty, so later on I don't have any voice at the back of my head kind of nagging me, why did I give up too early? I still had more energy in the tank, so I just wanted to leave it all, and I did it. And it was also pretty great because the last kilometer you have a lot of people cheering you on, and when you sprint and everybody else is kind of walking to the finish line, that was pretty great as well. I actually had my girlfriend bring the Speedmaster to the finish line because after the marathon we went out for some beers, for some tacos, so that was great. And that's actually the wristwatch check for the day. Of course, the Speedmaster reduced. I did an unboxing video for this watch. That video can be found on the channel. I will also link it in the description below. Also in the description below, there is a secret link. Have a look if you're curious. Thanks for watching this review. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Put on the stick. Put on the stick. Okay.